is that right? A little bit of contact there from Sparks. He musters his way across.
Into the back of... Muggleton just has to cross over this crest. He will cross the line and will win the championship.
Hello and welcome to Watkins, Glen, New York, as we're here live for the V8 Supercar Americas Series presented by V8's Online. We want to say that we are presented today here in glorious HD and presented by V8 Supercar Fan Group, Direct Clutch Services, and V8's Online Superstore. My name's JD Smith. Alongside me in the booth tonight will be Kane Kraft, and we got a great show here for you today, guys, to get this thing started.
Watkins Glen has proved to be such a fantastic event for the V8 Supercars. Last season, we had some spectacular racing at this track, so I can imagine that tonight we are going to see some great stuff.
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple things, Kane, as I was getting ready for tonight and looking at just how tonight's going to line up. Of course, we are at the mecca of road racing in America, Watkins Glen in New York, and this place is just a phenom for road racing in America. It is just one of the fastest circuits in the entire North America, and I'm here to tell you, buddy, it's going to be 53 laps around this track. The key tonight is going to be, it's a 2.45 mile circuit. That's 3.94 kilometers for the rest of the world, but it's 8 turns, and it's just straight, fast turns. But the magic number here tonight, and the important thing to remember, is going to be 27. And that number 27, just remember that as we're watching tonight, that's going to be an important number, because that's going to be the number that's going to be our fuel window tonight. These guys are really going to have to crunch to get 27 laps out of those cars. They're going to have to actually try to do some fuel saving if they're going to make it on one stop. Just the amount of speed and the amount of gas that they have to use to get around this track very fast. I was talking to several of the drivers this week in preparation for tonight's event, Kane, and just the fact that they said they're just hoping they can get to that 27 number before they make that pit stop. They literally are going to be going into the pits on fumes and then getting a full tank, 4 fresh tires, and back out on the track to complete the second half of the race. It's going to be really fun to watch in the pits tonight to see how the guys, how successful they are. It's just a little bit of different aspect than we normally have on the V8 Americas. So really happy to be here tonight at Watkins Glen to see how this unwinds.
Yeah, broadcasting the V8 Supercars America Series is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm super stoked that we're able to do this. And very thankful for V8's Online for stepping up and putting a broadcast together. These guys have worked tirelessly for the last week putting together new overlays and stuff for this series, so much thanks to the V8's Online guys. I do want to bring in one of the originators for the V8 Supercars Americas series and talk to him a little bit about where the series, how the series was established and where it's going in the future, how how great this is to see the series broadcast and that kind of thing. So Mike, are you with us, buddy?
Yeah, I got you, man. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a minute and just to kind of get a little bit of the history of the V8 Supercars Americas. Can you tell us a little bit about what started the V8 Supercars Americas series?
Well, way back when it started off, Ray Butcher, one of the guys from Can-Am Motorsports, actually convinced me to start getting into the car. I wasn't really. It was a few months after I'd even joined iRacing, and I really didn't have anything into my road license at all. And said, I don't know, that stuff I just can't wrap my head around. He says, "Oh no, it's like driving a dirt car," which I got experience with, in the real world. I grew up around, Wisconsin short track racing and dirt track stuff. So, oh yeah, the thing drives like a dirt car. All right, well, we'll try that. And at that time, there was already sort of a United States or North American time slot where everyone joined. It didn't really have any organization. It was just kind of, everyone just, agreed on a certain time on the forums, and that was it. And then for whatever reason, I did that for like I want to say like 2.5 seasons, and that kind of faded out. We weren't getting car counts. I don't know if guys were, moving to other stuff, or it was just that time of year or whatever. But that was about the same time that Scott Brackenridge started entering in, and I told him about it, and we kept showing up week after week, and we're getting 2-3 cars tops. We kept trying to push it, and Scott actually kind of initiated it. He was on, posting on the forums, see if we can, meet up at this time and stuff like that. And honestly, from there, it just kind of snowballed. I mean, I don't think there was ever a point where we really sat down and said, let's you and me, put something together for, every week that, we can get, guys together and race. It basically just started off just getting the word out, and from there it just snowballed into, now I'm, making regular Facebook posts. We got threads going on the forums and stuff like that. And it's great that, it's another step forward, seeing you guys pick this up with the broadcast. It's just another thing, that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I mean, I remember when we started, even when we were really starting to organize it, and we were, Scott came up with the name V8 Supercars Americas. We were still kind of struggling for car counts. We were getting, maybe 8, bare minimum 8-10 car fields or something like that. Now I'm looking right now, we still got like 6 minutes left, and yeah, I just saw that thing just updated. We got 33 cars. So, I mean, it's amazing how fast this is growing. It's taken a while, but it's been really rewarding.
Man, that's fantastic, Mike, and thanks a lot for coming in and talking with us about the history. It's going to be really exciting to see how the series grows. You talk already about how it's grown already, and hopefully with Kane and myself coming in to do the broadcast, it's going to really pick up, and we'll get a lot of big name drivers here in the series. We already have a lot of big name drivers, and just some fantastic talent out there. Really, really great, and I can't wait for Watkins Glen tonight. It's our first official race here with V8s Online. So excited for those guys to have us here on board with them. This really, truly is a treat.
Yeah, and again, I just want to thank you guys for setting this whole thing up. I'm not really good at the coordinating. I've never really worked for a broadcast before, so it's great to see you guys stepping up. That's one of the things that's really been cool about this series, is that the same way with Jim Davey managing points, and the same way that you guys came up, it's been a real kind of volunteer effort. People just kind of pick up every now and then. There'd be somebody who would stop by, and they'd put together like a music video on YouTube or something like that. Or we'll get guys that'll take pictures. They'll take screenshots and they'll post them up on the forums. Guys doing great sim photography work or great video editing and stuff like that. It's really cool how it's all come together.
It is.
Yeah, that is amazing. Go ahead, Kane.
It is very cool, and it's something that I've watched for a while, because I've been a big fan of V8s Online, and so naturally I would go to watch the V8 Supercars Americas races on Thursday and Friday here in Americas as well, and just see such great racing from you guys. And that was one thing that always bothered me, was that there wasn't a broadcast of your guys' races, because they're very close races, good, very high intensity races, and I just always wanted to see a broadcast. And so later on down the line, a year or so later, I get into broadcasting. It's definitely one of the places I always wanted to go back to, is to come back to the V8 Supercars Americas series and put a broadcast together for them, because there's so many great drivers here that deserve it. So very stoked to be here doing this for V8 Supercars America. I know that V8s Online is happy to present this for us and give us this opportunity, so I think it's going to be a great show, guys.
And I do have to stick out for Kane there. When we first got together and started broadcasting in our short history together, one of the first things Kane mentioned to me was, hey man, if we ever actually get together and take off doing this thing, we got to go straight to the America Series, and here we are, buddy. So we made it. We're here, and really, really happy to have this for you. Like I said, it's our first official series, or broadcast with you guys in the series this evening. Really excited about the action that's going to be coming our way real soon. It's 9:12 Eastern time right now, so we got about 3 minutes until we head over to live to the session, I believe, Kane.
That is right. We just got a few minutes.
And Mike, always great talking to you, buddy, and really look forward to watching you in the race tonight.
Yeah, thanks. I'm hoping I make top split. I think I was just telling Tony in the other channel. You know, there have been times where I've seen split races come, and it's like I said, this is about the only real time that I spend on my road racing license. So my iRating's only like 2100. I mean, I say that because some guys are still working on it, but compared to my oval racing record, which I was playing with 5,000 for a while there, and that's strictly through late models.
Wow. You say 2,000, a lot of guys are trying to get there, my friend, including myself. So but I hope we get to see you tonight on the track, and but even if we don't, either way, good luck tonight, Mike. Thanks for coming by and talking with us. Really look forward to seeing all the guys tonight. It's just such a fast track. This is literally one of my favorite tracks we'll go to all season long. I love Watkins Glen. Cannot wait to get there and get this thing started.
Yeah, I'm going to go jump in the car. Thanks a bunch for you guys for doing this again. Really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
All right, Mike. Thanks for stopping in. That's Mike Budzine, everybody. Appreciate him stopping by.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll do fantastic tonight, Kane. We got to see him last week. He did a pretty good job there. And that's Mike Budzine. We'll keep an eye on him on the track tonight.
Well, and he makes a good point. Broadcasts do tend to bring drivers, and with the more drivers that show up, it will split the race. So only so many cars can make that top split. I think the number is 25 or so cars that will make that top split, and so it all depends on how high your iRating is if you make that top split or not. So that's a problem some of the drivers will have.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to hit, Kane. I mean, you think about it, being in the top 25 is really tough, and I think the more that the series grows, like Mike was talking about just a few minutes ago, this series is growing. It's getting bigger and bigger, and as it continues to grow, hitting that top split is going to be really, really tough task. And then once you're in that top split, to be some of those guys that perform week in and week out up in the top 10 every week, it's just amazing to me, the talent that we already have in this series. Real excited to see what happens here tonight. I mean, already if we look at some of the point standings just on how it is so far, it really is just a roller coaster of fun to watch with the guys up at the top. They're always consistently battling one another. And, some series get dominated by one or two people, and that really doesn't seem to happen here in this series. It's just such a good balance of talent, and it makes for some really, really great competitive racing.
Well, speaking of the championship points, brought it up on the screen now. It's a pretty good time to go over the championship points. Marlon McMullen is in the lead there with 939, and second place Michael Johnson is at 890. So this points championship has most certainly not been decided. There's still a few races left here, so it could go either way.
Yeah, and that's what we got to keep in mind with tonight, Kane, as we watch the race tonight, is just keep this point standings in the back of our head. I'm sure we'll be able to pull it up for you again, but just keep in mind, look at Marlon McMullen just on top right now, but 939 is his number. He's going to have to keep performing well because you got a strong battle in Michael Johnson. I know we saw him last week. He's always a threat to go to the front, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Third is really huge. There's 4 or 5 drivers, maybe even 6 right there within the realm of possibility of making that third place.
Yeah, I'd say all the way. Even I'd even throw Zach Baker in that as well. From Zach Baker on up to Mike Budzin and Kurt Stenberg up in third. They all are battling for that third position, and at any time they really could slide on up. So guys, keep an eye. I also want to throw a couple honorable mentions in there. Guys like Nigel Baines and Jim Davey and Greg Carr. I don't want to forget Darren Smith. All these guys are just outstanding drivers. Chad Chastain, Nick Ottinger. I saw him running just an unbelievably fast lap in practice earlier. It was just unbelievable. He actually had the fastest time in that practice session I watched. It had a lot of these guys in it. So it's going to be fun to see how these guys, once they all get on the same track, all those fast, hot laps really don't matter after qualifying. It's just going to be how they compete with one another on the track.
Yeah, I agree. Watkins Glen's such a fast track, and disaster can strike at any turn. Just getting a wheel off there can be the end of your race. So this track especially can be one where it can take you from being right in the challenge for the lead spot to back, having to pit for repairs and going back to the back of the field.
That's right, Kane. That's right. It can happen like that. And one thing we got to remember tonight is, you'd speak last season. The race was twice as long this season as last season. They only had 20 or so, 26 laps, I think it was last season. We're looking at 53 laps around Watkins Glen tonight. This is on going to be on the verge of almost an endurance type race, and so the guys are going to have to be very careful from the get-go. As you don't want to go out here and be too aggressive too early, and then the next thing you know, you're in the pits with your crew trying to fix the car, just wishing you wouldn't have made that mistake. So a lot of the guys gonna be looking to, you want to get out and get to a great start here tonight, guys, but also we got to remember to keep the car clean, keep it under control. This track is so fast, and with all these guys, literally tenths of seconds will matter today in this race. So if you start getting the tiniest bit of damage on your car and it starts slowing you down, it's going to be really hard to catch back up. And I know the drivers know that tonight. And I also want to keep in mind that magic number, that number 27 laps. That is going to be just such a huge key, as we're going to have a lot more strategy involved tonight than we typically do in a shorter race.
Starting to get some footage up here as the race is getting ready to start.
Yeah, I'm getting real excited, Kane. All the adrenaline starts pumping for the drivers. Everybody's starting to get a little adrenaline going, and also got to calm their nerves, because they're going to really need to perform well here in the beginning. Like they said, they don't want to get too excited too early, jump out and get in any trouble and cause a mistake that may hurt them too early.
Let's take a look at the grid and see how the drivers are going to start.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and the way that it looks to be starting on the grid, our pole sitter right now is Chad Chastain in the number 1 Ford Falcon. Nick Ottinger is on starting second. In row 2, we have Michael Johnson and Stuart Dent. In row 3, Mike Budzin and Don Stevenson. In row 4 is going to be Clifton Cockrell and Tony Kloosterman. Scott Breckenridge is 9th with Trevor Hill in the 10th position. Jim Davies going to start back in 11th with Dan Ball in 12th. And then 13th is Mario Girard. And Kane, we're getting live here.
Yeah, they're off, and looks like the Can-Am driver Chad Chastain pulled out to an amazing lead already. He's got several car links at the tip of that field.
Oh, we got trouble back in the field, Kane. I'm looking right now to find out who is involved. Looks like Nils Jordan's involved. Brad Patton's involved. Casey Tucker's is able to get away. But big trouble already in the back of the field.
Yeah, I seen a car was up on its lid back there.
But that's exactly what we did not want to see happen, and that's very unfortunate. Oh, more trouble we have right now as we have another wreck involved, and I can't. I'm trying to go back and see who it is once again, Kane. Tell you what, right now, going up back towards the front of the field, Michael Johnson in the 3rd position, trying to get up there in the front. You mentioned it first. Chad Chastain there in the number 1 Ford Falcon tried and successfully got out to a huge jump in the Can-Am Ford Falcon. Got a huge jump off the lead and is successfully holding that gap right now over Nick Ottinger in the number 3. You know, he is coming up pretty fast, but right now he does have a nice size gap. I'd say at least a second and a half, close to a second and a half gap in between.
That was a pretty good guess. 1.6 seconds gap from the leader Chad Chastain back to 2nd place Nick Ottinger.
And as we look around the track, we got a lot of good battles going on around the track right now. Just taking a look around, got a good little pack going right back, looking in the number 14, Mike Budsian, trying to catch up to Clifton Cockrell, who's side by side right now with excuse me, Michael Johnson right there, and just a great battle going on right there. Literally bumper to bumper, Michael Johnson and Clifton Cockrell battling it out, and that's a really good battle right now as they're tucked in right behind one another. They got some good opportunity to actually catch some draft on these straights. You're going to see right now Michael Johnson go to the outside, or excuse the inside, and try to make the pass there. And a successful job. So as we get here, we are currently on lap number 3 already, moving pretty good for Chad Chastain out front as the number 1 car is in the 1 position. He's got to be happy with his start as that gap looks to have grown a little more, Kane.
Yeah, something happened. He's up to an 8-second gap.
Yeah, I don't know if that battle between Michael Johnson and Clifton Cockrell caused a slowdown, but something definitely had to have happened for him to have jumped out to that big of a lead. That is huge, and the rest of the field is still pretty tightly contested. Not quite sure how Chad jumped out to that big of a lead, but I'm sure he's happy to have that lead right now.
Yeah, this is Watkins Glen, and anything can happen. Just a tire off, and that 8 seconds can be gone, just like that.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, that tire off is going to be huge. We're going to have to keep a close eye on things like that because those incidences add up in races like this, especially a long race like we have right here.
Mike Budsian going to the inside there for the pass. Nice move.
Yeah, we talked to Mike for the race, and it's good to see Mike in the number 14 V8 Supercar America's Ford Falcon climbing up through the field. Good to see Mike.
He is having a fantastic race, and this is a great track to have such a good race on. So congrats to Mike for pulling together a great race so far. Got Stuart Dent back in the 5th place. He's always a candidate to finish toward the front. A good, clean, technical driver that I know we'll be seeing him get a little closer to the front.
Yeah, another driver I'm kind of keeping an eye on. He's kind of quiet right now, but that is the number 15 Vodafone Ford Falcon driver of Jim Davey. We know we've seen him in the past slide up into the top 5 here with him in the 7th position this early in the race. Just look for him to try to creep up into that top 5, battling guys like Stuart Dent and Scott Breckenridge. Also, Tony Kloosterman back in 8th place in the number 9 Never Quit Racing Ford. He's actually trying to catch up on Mr. Jim Davey in front of him. So, like I said, the rest of the field pretty much intact right now. They're not real spread out right now. Looks like over a 9-second lead for Chad Chastain right now in the Can-Am Motorsports Ford Falcon.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable lead. I don't know how he got out to such a strong lead, but it's continuing to grow. He's definitely got some great pace here at Watkins Glen.
And it all, you know, and that can change really fast. I mean, this is such a big race, Kane. Just don't forget, like we mentioned just a little earlier, things can change in a hurry here, and so we'll keep a close eye on our leader out there. It will be fun as this is such a long race. He will be catching some lap traffic a little on down the road in the race, so that will be fun to see a little later on. Looking around on the track for good battles, and I tell you one we're probably going to see here in just a few moments is Stuart Dent in the number 5 Xbox One Ford Falcon and Mike Budzian as he's on his way working up to him. But if you look right behind Stuart Dent, Clifton Cockrell has kind of slipped back a little bit from the beginning, is starting to gain a little bit of pace and is trying to catch back up to Stuart Dent there, and this could turn into a nice little battle. I also talked about Scott Breckenridge and Jim Davey as they're creeping in as well. So this is a nice little area to look at, Kane, right now as these guys are all starting to kind of close in a little bit.
I see Timmy Hills went into the pits. I guess he's must have had some damage or something to pit this soon. He must have got involved in a little incident.
Yeah, trying to figure out what's going on with Timmy. Unfortunate for him to already have to go into the pits, but hopefully he can get the Falcon fixed and get back out and make up some of that time.
Well,
here we are, guys.
Actually, Trevor Hill, not Timmy Hill this time.
Trevor Hill, yep.
I was a little, I thought the same thing when I seen the T Hill, so I had to look it up, and it was Trevor Hill.
Oh, that's quite all right, my friend. And here we are, 8 laps into Watkins Glen here. And I want to go ahead and do a quick rundown of how some of the top drivers are here in this race. Chad Chastain is in the lead right now with Michael J. Johnson about 10 seconds behind him. Mike Budzian is up to 3rd, Kane, with Stuart Dent in 4th. Clifton Cockrell is in 5th with Scott Breckenridge in the 6th position. Jim Davey currently in 7th with Don Stevenson battling in 8th. Paul Slavonic is in 9th with Timothy Ponzi in 10th. Tony Kloosterman in the number 9 car is back to 11th with Dan Ball in 12th. Jake Hayes currently 13th with Kyle McCormick in 14th. Casey Tucker is in the 15th position with Corey Richardson in 16th. 17th currently belongs to Nils Jordan, who, if you remember, was involved in that wreck early in the race. Mike Manuel is in 18th. Trevor Hill is in 19th position and is the last car currently on the lead lap. Julian Longo is 4 laps down in 20th. Mario Girard is in 21st. He's currently 5 laps down. And that kind of leads us to the last few cars in the race, which is Ronnie Binkley, Nick Ottinger, Richard Christensen, and Brad Patton. Yeah, it's a tough break for Nick Ottinger. Started in the 2nd position, Kane, all the way back in 24th. and currently is out on track, but he is 5 laps down. That's going to be, or excuse me, Nick Ottinger's not on the track. I was looking at Richard K. Christensen, but tough break for Nick Ottinger.
One of the nice little overlays that we've gotten here shows the gains and losses of the cars as they, gain their positions or lost their positions rather. And it shows that Corey Richardson is having the biggest gains tonight. He's gained 9 positions from his starting position up to the 15th spot. So that's some pretty good gains there. Paul Slavonic's gained 6 points. Nils Jordan's gained 5.
Yeah, and that is a really good feature to have here. I want to really be proud to have that here, and it's fun to see how they do here. It's like I said, this is one of my favorite tracks that we'll visit all season long, Kane, and it's really good to see guys that are coming up and doing really good already. Like I said, here we are currently on lap 10 of this 53 lap event, and I want to keep in mind not so much the tire wear here. It's going to be a fuel consumption deal as we watch guys in the pits. You want to make it on one pit stop if you can. If you have trouble, like we saw with Trevor Hill a little earlier, had to go in the pits early, he's going to have to make 2 pit stops probably just to complete this race. So you don't want to have to get into trouble early here and have to go into the pits. You want to try to make it to that lap 27 marker we were talking about pre-race.
Kyle McCormick back in the 17th spot's having a great race with Nils Jordan for that 16th position. And that kind of shows you that there's great races all throughout this field tonight.
Yeah, right now Kyle McCormick currently tucked in right behind Nils Jordan in the number 19 Redback Ford Falcon, and Kyle's going to try to make a move around Nils here in just a moment. He's creeping in pretty nicely on that Redback Ford, and this is going to be fun as right now racing towards the start-finish line, and he's still tucked in behind there, but that's a fun little battle. We'll have to keep an eye on that, Kane. Oh man, elsewhere on the track, a little trouble for Richard K. Christensen. He got off there on the runoff area. He was trying to battle. Jim Davey was going around him, and I think he just kind of got over to let Jim Davey by. Kane, we talked about it just a little earlier, and Michael Johnson is trying to get on the move here. Currently, he's about 11.5 seconds, it looks like, I'm guessing, behind our leader, Chad Chastain. And but he's also got a good lead there in second as he's running away with the second position. And so the number 2 car of Michael Johnson really moving away from Stuart Dent back in third.
Yeah, those guys have been having a pretty good battle back there. Stuart Dent just recently took over the 3rd position from Mike Budzine. So those guys have been battling hard, and that can definitely slow down those lap times and allow someone to pull away. So that's probably what happened there.
I think we need to watch this battle for just a moment. Here you see right now Stuart Dent going through the bus stop here, fixing to go around the carousel, and this is a fun little battle. Mike Budzine and Stuart Dent already battling like it's getting to the latter half of the race. They're having to get around some slow traffic there, Kane. Trying to see they get around just fine, but it's very slow traffic.
Yeah, one of the slow guys gets off the track back there. I was trying to see who it was.
Yeah, that didn't look like just slow racing. That was like a very bad issue there. Trying to figure out what it was as well. Tony Klusterman and Paul Slavonik having a little battle right now. Tony Klusterman just passes Paul Slavonik for the 9th position. So Tony Klusterman, who was doing good a little earlier, fell back, and now he's starting to climb a little bit back, a little bit more further back towards the front. Him and Paul Slavonik having a good little battle back and forth. as Tony breaks away. Man, I'm telling you what, Kane, going back to our leader, Mr. Chad Chastain in the #1 Can-Am Motorsports Ford Falcon, really blistering lap times, as his last lap was a 1 minute 11.79 seconds. That's just amazing lap time here, and he is just blistering around this track. You got to wonder if he runs this hard, and it doesn't seem to be bothering his Ford at all. He's not wearing tires down or anything like that. That's going to be dangerous for these other guys. They're going to have to hope for a slip up by Chad or something if they're going to have a chance to catch up. I'm looking, and it looks like there's almost a 15-second gap in between him and Michael Johnson back in the second position.
Mike Johnson back in the second position is running a good clean race. He's running some great lap times as well. Just Chad got off to that early lead and got pulled away back when Mike was fighting for position and was able to get a pretty good distance on him. But Mike is turning fast laps. His fast laps are just as fast as Chad's, so I'm sure Mike's hoping for a little mistake to get him caught back up with the leader.
Yeah, I know he is, and it's gonna be fun to see how this stuff unwinds. I mean, if you're watching live right now, first of all, we really thank you for being here with us. But I just want you guys to remember, this is a 53-lap race. This is also Watkins Glen. This is one of the fastest circuits that we visit all season long. These guys can run these high speeds in these V8 supercars for an extended amount of time. Now, it takes a tremendous amount of focus for these drivers to keep these lap times up for an extended period of time. So keep in mind when you're watching this, don't think that somebody has it already. Anything is possible in these cars. We've seen it before where a guy can have a huge lead, have a slip up, fall back, and next thing you know, you got a serious battle for the win. So I think we could see something like that here today. And Stuart Dent trying to catch, or Mike Budsey, trying to catch back up to Stuart Dent there in the #5 Xbox One Ford Falcon again. Continues to be a good battle there for the third position.
Yeah, she was talking about anything can happen. Last year at Watkins Glen, we didn't have a broadcast for the Americas series, but V8's Online did have one for their series, and it was such a spectacular race. They're about halfway through. 5 or 6 cars in the mid-pack were door-to-door, side-by-side, bumper-to-bumper for a couple laps there. It was really intense. And then a few laps after that, second and third place got into an incident and took the championship points leader out of the race, as well as the third place car. It was a very intense race, very exciting. If you get a chance, you should go back and watch that race because it was super intense. I just watched it today, matter of fact, and it was very exciting.
Right now, Scott Breckenridge in the #13 Ford Falcon trying to catch up to the #15 Vodafone car of Jim Davey, and that has been an ongoing fun to watch as well, as Jim Davey trying to run away from Scott Breckenridge and having a hard time breaking away, as Scott really doing a good job of hanging with him. Both cars are trying to catch up to the #4 car of Clifton Cockrell in the 5th position. Both of these drivers, Jim Davey and Scott Breckenridge, really would love to have a top 5 or crack into the top 5 here. So they got a little ways to go, Kane, but if they keep pushing really hard, I think these guys can catch up. They have the ability to catch up there to our top 5, and it would be really fun to see them if they get up there.
Yeah, for sure. One thing for sure is this is a pit stop race, and pit stops can, if you make a mistake or something, pit stops can vary by 3, 4, or even 5 seconds. So they've still got a chance at top 5 to third place position.
Another battle on the track right now is for the 12th position. It involves Timothy Ponzi in the number 6 car, as well as Casey Tucker in the number 8 Ford Falcon. Really fun battle right now, Kane, to watch as we have some fun
and he goes
action
wide.
there.
Timothy Ponzi goes wide, misses the bus stop, and allows Casey by.
Yeah, Casey Tucker in the trading post Ford Falcon, able to break away with a little bit of a break there. Tough break on the other hand for Timothy Ponzi. That really, really hurts. I hate to see that for Timothy there.
Scott Brackenridge is still working on Jim Davey, and they're having a great race there. I think they're probably just, you know, they're pretty good friends, and I think they're just racing along, and that's probably how we're going to see them stay for a while. It's just bumper to bumper. Is they're not going to want to risk each other's race.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They're not wanting to risk one another, not wanting to risk that trouble. Look at Nick Ottinger back out. He is on the track right now, guys, and currently Nick Ottinger is placed in the 24th position, 14 laps down, but good to see him never give up there. He's such a great driver, and Nick Ottinger is battling on, so good to see Nick hanging in there, getting back out on the track, and continuing on here at the Glen.
Nils Jordan back in 15th is still battling strong. He's gained a couple positions there. He's in 15th as the leader makes his way around him.
Yeah, that's really good news for Nils Jordan. He was having a really rough start at the beginning of this race, but definitely good to see him getting back on the horse and riding. And you know, one thing about Nils Jordan is he definitely has the talent. He seemed to have a little rough patch a couple weeks ago, and he seems to be breaking out of it finally and starting to move back to the old Nils Jordan, and that's a good thing. So glad to see Nils doing better. Tell you what, Mike Budson trying to move on right now. He's got a car that's trying to blister around the carousel there, and right behind him has a tough battle in Clifton Cockrell in the number 4 Ford Falcon. This is fun battle right here. We got with Clifton Cockrell and Mike Budson.
Yeah, Clifton's definitely working very hard to try to get around Mike. He's definitely putting the pressure on. Mike Budzin's got a full rearview mirror of Clifton's car, and I'm sure Clifton's just trying to keep it in the mirrors and try to force a mistake, which is a pretty good plan on a track like Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it is. It's a very good plan, and want to say I got to give a shout out to Stuart Dent, who was battling with Mike Budzine a little earlier, and Stuart Dent has kind of broken away. Currently about to be on the lapped car of Mario Girard, but should have no trouble advancing around. But good job there for the number 5 Xbox One Ford Falcon.
Yeah, Stuart's gained a 3.8 second gap between he and Mike.
I also want to point out something else. It may not sound like a deal at the moment, guys, but Chad Chastain, who was just literally blistering laps, he's still putting down phenomenal lap speeds, but he was just growing time over number 2 driver Michael Johnson. It's been at about 16 seconds. It's maybe at 17 seconds now, but he slowed I hadn't closed the gap, but he's
slowed the rate of growth.
That's right. He has maintained the gap, which is a good sign, because if he was just going to keep breaking away, it would almost seem inevitable Chad Chastain could run away with this thing. But with it maintaining now, that gives hope for the rest of the guys that they might have a chance to catch him a little later in this race. Also, as we are on lap number 21, I want everybody to remember in about 6 to 7 laps, it'll be that crucial pit window we talked about pre-race and just a little while ago. So I do want to do a quick rundown, as currently there are 13 cars on the lead lap, Kane. And in first place, still your leader, Chad Chastain, in the number 1 Can-Am Motorsport Ford Falcon. Michael Johnson is in second place with Stuart Dent in third. In fourth place right now is the number 14 V8 Supercar America's Ford Falcon of Mike Budzine, with Clifton Cockrell in the fifth. Jim Davey battling in sixth position, with Scott Breckenridge back in seventh. Don Stevenson is currently in eighth, with Tony Klusterman battling hard back in the ninth position. Paul Slavonic is in 10th, and that does round out your top 10. Casey Tucker in the number 8 Trading Post Ford Falcon is in 11th, with Dan Ball in 12th. Timothy Ponzi is our last car currently on the lead lap. He is in 13th. Jake Hayes is in 14th and only a lap down, as well as Nils Jordan in 15th. Corey Richardson is in 16th. 17th is Kyle McCormick. And Mario Girard is 18th. 19th goes to Ronnie Binkley. And Richard Christensen is in rounds out the 20th. And I mean, that's the gist of it. We still have Mike Meanwell in 21, Kane, and Trevor Hills in 22nd, Nick Ottinger 23rd. And that's all the cars that are run. Brad Patton's still out there in 24th. And then we have Jillian Ignacio Longo in 25th.
Great job with that one. That one would have got me.
You know, and don't want to get anybody's name wrong, so we always try our best to make sure we get them just right. And but always, that's a cool name. I got that one right because I like it. It's just got a nice ring to it.
That it does. Still a battle for that fourth place rather, with Mike Budzine and Clifton Cockrell. And now, well, that might be a lapped car. I was thinking another car joined the mix.
And you had me getting excited, buddy. I was like, heck yeah, let's go, let's do it.
That's actually Nick Ottinger that's in the fry there. He's
well, I tell you what, Nick
Ottinger,
laps down. He's a couple laps down, but he can hang with these guys, and maybe not battling for position, but definitely battling for pride is Nick Ottinger and Mike Budzine right now, battling down the back or at the straightaway. And look at them as they come into the left-hander here. Actually, Nick Ottinger able to make a move on the outside there, Kane. A very impressive move by Nick Ottinger, who did start in the second position, started there on the outside pole, definitely showing, hey, I may be some laps down, but I've definitely got what it takes to run with the best.
Well, and he's got a nice fresh car. You know, Mike's been out there for 24 laps now. His tires are pretty well used up, and Nick's got a nice fresh set, so it was a smart move by Mike to just let him go, and he's definitely going to have better pace with those fresher tires.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Kane. Very, very good point. And I just got to keep an eye on our pit road reports, as should be hitting them pretty soon, guys. Here we are on lap 24. We're going to be in 3 laps. We'll be at that magic number 27, and we'll see how the guys are looking on gas. Pit crew's got to be getting ready, you know, start getting ready to head over the wall and get these guys refueled, fresh tires, and back out.
Well, I remember last year it was a 26-lap race, and we had to save fuel just to make it to 26. So these guys are having to do some pretty significant fuel saving to get to lap 27.
Yeah, it's so hard to fuel save here too, Kane. You have to keep up such a tremendous pace, and for you to be able to keep up, you can't save too much, or you just lose so much pace that it's not worth it. So it's, what do you do? You know, what do you do? Right now, our leader going around
Dan Ball off into the kitty litter.
Yeah, and I think he was just trying to help Chad get around, and I think he just got a little loose there and over into the sand trap there.
Yeah, that actually happens pretty frequently whenever a car that's a lap down or two goes to make room for the lead lap cars. They just get a wheel off, and it'll just pull them the rest of the way off. And even just letting some cars by can be a dangerous thing here at Watkins Glen.
Well, that, and I think sometimes when you get out of the groove, you get on to where maybe some of those marbles get built up, and you get off that main groove, and there's less grip. And if you're at a high speed and you're out of the groove, you can lose it really hard, and that'll help put that one tire off. Let me tell you. Look at the battle right now with Jim Davey in the number 15 Vodafone Ford Falcon and Scott Breckenridge in the number 13. They are battling really hard right now as they head across the start-finish line. Jim Davey gets a nice jump off of the final turn to catch a tiny gap. We'll see who gets a little better here in turn 1. But nice battle right here for the 6th position, Kane.
Yeah, these guys have been having a heck of a battle for most of this race. I would say at least the last 10 laps or so. They have been within a second of each other.
Yeah, they really have, and Scott Breckenridge there, his sponsor is the old University of Florida Health. It's good to see him representing his school there. That's Scott Breckenridge there in the number 13 Falcon. You know he'd love to catch Jim Davey up there, and it's he's signaling that Vodafone up in his window this entire race, and he's got to be itching to pass Jim Davey up there. So it's going to be fun to watch these guys as we get near pit stops. I wonder if they'll follow one another in the pits.
Yeah, it looks as though they are. They are both heading into the pits.
Wow, I really did not mean to call that, but it looks like I did there, and here they are. They made it to lap 26, Kane, so they almost made it to that number 27 lap. I think 26 is a good call, though. Oh, did you see that? Jim Davey overshot his pit stall just a little bit, had to put it in reverse. That could cost him just a little bit of time.
Yeah, it definitely could. Little mistakes like that on pit road can definitely cost those few seconds that the other drivers need.
Yeah, tough break there. A lot of cars on pit road right now. Currently leaving right now. Scott Breckenridge is leaving pit road. He's actually going to exit right out in front of none other than Jim Davey. So that really did cost him the roll ahead. Currently, right now, our leader on pit road, second place driver, Michael J. Johnson in the number 2. He's in his pit stall, getting fresh tires, getting refueled, getting ready to head back out. Also, leaving the pits right now is, I didn't want to say it wrong, but I missed it altogether. So once everybody gets in pit road and out pit road, we'll do a rundown on any position changes we might have had, any major ones, and then I'll do a big rundown. Kind of funny fact right now is it's always fun to see when the race positions get shook up from pit runs, and right now, look at this, we have a new leader right now, Kane.
Well, I'm showing Chad Chastain in the lead, so I don't know who's in the lead.
I was showing, must be just something that hadn't updated yet or something, but I'm showing right now, currently, it has Michael Johnson in the lead by 21.6 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's probably because they haven't crossed the lap line yet. And that's a
Yep, there it
pretty
is. That's exactly
lap.
what it was. That's exactly what it was. So my apologies there.
Niels Jordan's made his way up to 10th. Of course, he hasn't pitted yet, so those standings haven't cleared. It won't be very long now, and just a couple more people to pit before our results get cleared here. Now we've got Don Stevenson in, so we're just waiting on Niels Jordan, and our results should be cleared.
Kyle McCormick in the number 11 car just exiting pit road. He was on the lead lap going in.
23.7 gap between Michael Johnson and Chad Chastain.
Man, what a big gap there.
There's no Marlon McMullen tonight. He'll probably run tomorrow night on the Friday night's race. But second place finish for Michael Johnson definitely will help in his run for the championship.
Oh man, tremendously. Anytime you can get up in the top 3, you can get a podium finish. Your points are really going to benefit from that. So you know Michael Johnson's got to be happy being up there in the second position. And of course he'd like to win, but and not saying that he can't do that here today, but you know, like you said, you got to be happy being up in the second position. You want to run a safe, clean race from this point forward. I think if you're Michael Johnson right now, Kane, you just need to keep pushing ahead. Don't worry about the time you are behind Chad Chastain right now. Let fate run its course, and all you can do is just race the most consistent, fast laps you can run without hurting the car. You know, just keep being fast and consistent, and let fate happen. If it's meant to be, I believe it'll happen for him. But he doesn't need to ruin anything that could hurt his chances in the points by getting too aggressive and end up hurting the car.
Yeah, with there being such a big gap, I think that's his mindset right now, is just to try to maintain pace and stick out that second place finish. The V8 Supercars America's car of Mike Budzine still in 4th place after the pit stops. He's pretty close there to the 3rd place of Stuart Dent.
Yeah, Stuart Dent in the Xbox One Ford Falcon is going to have Mike Budzine on him really quick if he don't get him moving. He has a good jump off of the final turn 8 here at Watkins Glen, heading down the front straightaway. Stuart Dent with the advantage going into turn 1, and but Mike Budzine is honing in on him. Also, don't want to leave out Clifton Cockrell in the number 4 car. He's right behind Mike Budzine there, and he's going to, you know, be right in the picture as well. So we're going to have a fun little 3-way battle for 3rd place coming up real soon, Kane, if you keep watching this battle.
Clifton has done a great job this race, just being patient. He's just kind of stuck back there behind Mike, and he's just waiting for a mistake or waiting for a very good move to make the pass. He don't seem like he's willing to risk anyone's race. He's just going to stay back there and be patient with still 20 laps to go. He's still got plenty of time.
Yeah, that's 100% correct, buddy. And I do want to say right now, currently there's 9 cars on the lead lap. The last car on the lead lap right now is the number 16 car of Don Stevenson. And it's really tough to stay on the lead lap on such a long race like this. I think if you're able to stay on the lead lap, let me rephrase that. It's tough to stay on the lead lap on a track like this. It's as long as this, with Chad Chastain out there running these hero laps out there. He is just blistering this track. Mr. Chad Chastain definitely representing well. He's going to be coming up on Don Stevenson in just a little while. If he's not careful, he'll be going a lap down. So Chad Chastain is creeping up on him right now.
An interesting point is Jim Davies is now back in front of Scott Breckenridge.
Also, he made up from the mishap there in pit road just a little bit ago. For those of you that may have missed it, Jim Davies has been in front of Scott Breckenridge for the majority of the race, but as it came down to pit road time, we saw Scott Breckenridge have an almost flawless pit stop there, and then we had Jim Davies, who just overshot his pit stall, had to throw her in reverse, lost just enough time for Scott to jump back out in front of him, and now we see Jim Davies get back in front. So look at the Vodafone Ford Falcon working its way back out in front of him.
Tony Klusterman now getting ready to get a good look at the leader as the leader's getting ready to get by him.
Yeah, and now 8 car or
Oh, he's
8
loose.
cars.
He kept it from going into the
Tony.
wall. Great save, Tony.
Wow, that was just an incredible save. That's gonna, you see the leader going by Tony now, but what a save. That could have been just pandemonium for Tony Kloosterman in the Never
You
Quit
know
Racing
that
Ford
Chad
Falcon
was
right there.
sweating. That was pretty scary right in front of the leader. You know that Chad was sweating over that one.
Chad, shoot, I was sweating watching it there, Kane. That was that one came out so scary I almost couldn't get it out, so thanks for getting that one out on time there. I hate that for Tony, but it was really a killer save. That could have been just terrible news for the leader.
Clifton Cockrell still giving Mike Budzine the run for his money. You know, he's staying within that half-second margin, just almost right on his bumper.
Right now, that's one of my favorite battles on the track. It was with Stuart Dent and Mike Budzine a little earlier, but now definitely with Clifton Cockrell and Mike Budzine. Mike's had battles this entire race to deal with, and he's done a fantastic job. He hasn't shown any type of nervousness or any sense that he's going to slip up. He has had no problem pushing out in front or with following, and he's done a great job on both scenarios here today.
On board with Tony Kloosterman now, as he's got Don Stevenson on his bumper looking for a race.
And as we ride on board here, do a little onboard commentary. Always fun to do. Looking out the this going through the bus stop right now, and man, Tony Kloosterman, I still can't believe that save he made a moment ago, Kane. That was just unbelievable.
That was some great skillful driving, good skillful save anyway.
Yeah, you know, one of the slipperiest parts of this track, a lot of drivers will tell you the hardest part of this entire track is going into turn 1 there. It's getting down the speed off of the front straight, washing all that speed off there. But I think one of the most toughest parts is what you're watching Tony do right now, is actually on the exit of turn 8 here. You can get really loose in a hurry getting on the accelerator out of that turn. And I think that's what happened to Tony when he got loose and almost went nose first into the wall there on the front stretch. So good job by Tony there to save that. To me, that's the toughest part of the track.
Well, another thing we're not thinking about is iRacing with this last build introduced the changing weather, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a pretty windy day today. You know, 74 degrees, the track temperature is 100 degrees, the wind speed is 12.2 knots, and 56% humidity, so it is pretty windy. I want to say that's about 16 miles an hour, but I could be wrong. I'm not that sharp on knots to miles per hour.
Sounds close enough to me, and you know what, it sounds like it's enough that it can upset a V8 supercar in a hurry at these speeds, so that's a whole added challenge to these drivers here. But it seems to be no problem for the number 1 Can-Am Motorsports driver of Chad Chastain, as he continues to be our leader here on lap number 36, Kane. And I tell you what, he has just truly shown just pure dominance here at Watkins Glen. It has just been a pure dominant performance to this point by Chad, and he's got to be very proud of his efforts so far here in this race.
Completely dominant, almost half a minute ahead of second place Michael Johnson. And that's not to take away from Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson's been running tremendously fast laps. Many of his laps have been just as fast as Chad, so it's just, you know, traffic where Michael Johnson's in traffic now, that's going to allow Chad to gain a couple more seconds over him.
Yeah.
And just a lot of little circumstances has allowed Chad to gain one heck of a lead.
Yeah, just a little quick comparison. Last lap speed for Chad Chastain was 1 minute 11.89 seconds. Michael Johnson's was 1 minute 13.67. So almost 2 seconds there, full difference, and that's going to cause your leader to even break out to even more of a lead for right now, with Michael Johnson battling right now with a lap car does a good job of getting around Timothy Panozzi and keeps moving on.
Yeah, that's 2 laps in a row that he's had to slow down a bit for some lap traffic. So I imagine we'll see this next lap be somewhere around the 112, 113 range as well. So that's four more seconds that Chad may have gained on him.
Right now, your leader going around Jim Davey in the number 7. In the number 15, he's in 7th place, and that was we had 7 cars on the lead lap. Now we only have 6. So our leader literally running circles around everyone here so far. Just totally dominating performance by Chad. Very impressive. To be honest and to be fair, literally the top 10 drivers so far, I think, or at least I'll say at least to Jim Davey or Tony Klusterman, even Don Stevenson, all those guys have had literally a tremendous day. I don't want to take anything away from them, just showing guys like Jim Davey who are a lap down. This isn't a normal race where, oh man, they're a lap down, they've had a rough day, Kane. No, these guys are in 7th and 8th place, and it's just how much the leader has gone ahead. It's very deceiving.
Yeah, mentioning Jim Davies, Scott has made his way back around Jim Davey and is back in the 6th position.
And I tell you what, not only that, Scott has made a little space there. Scott, right now, let's watch this. He's holding off the leader, currently trying to stay on the lead lap. Don't know how long he'll be able to do that, as right now the leader goes to the outside, and the inside is...
Yeah, I would imagine Scott would try to race to stay on the lead lap at this point. There's still plenty of laps left. So,
but it still made for a fun moment here.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, anytime the leader has to pass cars, no matter who it be, that's a risk, and any kind of risk is not what the leader wants to see. But at least with a 31-second lead, you can afford a mistake or two.
Nick Ottinger back down pit road. Wonder what's going on. May just be refreshing it up there. He was in real quick and out, so probably just a few little things adjusted.
The best battle on the track is still Clifton Cockrell, fighting for that 4th position with Mike Budzin.
Man, and Mike Budzin's not adjusting a bit. He has just literally been ice, like the Iceman, mistake-free to this point. He's still got about a 3-car length advantage over Scott. And, man, it has just been... over Clifton, excuse me, Clifton Cockrell. And I'm telling... Oh, we got a car over on the runoff area. And... oh, don't get back on. He almost got into Clifton there. That is Kyle McCormick in the number 11 car. So Kyle did a good job not to get into the battle that was going on right there. And right behind Kyle McCormick is the number 12 car of Mario Girard, who is back in the 16th position.
Mario's having a good, clean race tonight. He's staying consistent, and it looks like he's had a 2nd pit stop, so he must have had some issues tonight. But his car's still looking pretty good. A little bit of beat up on the back bumper, but he's still running a good race. Staying with the other drivers just fine.
Tell you what, I just can't. Every time I go away, I find myself coming back to Clifton Cockrell, trying to chase Mike Budzin in the number 14 V8 Supercars, America's Ford Falcon. Great job. We talked, for those that may have joined mid-race, or we want to thank you for being here live as we're presented by V8s Online for the very first time here at Watkins Glen, and want to thank everybody for joining in and watching this great race we have right now. But definitely would say we got to talk with Mike pre-race, and it's good to see him doing such a great job. He has literally not let any of this pressure bother him at all. This at any point this race, he has really shown true composure and just ran his race and let everything come to him. And I think on a long race, Kane, that's the best thing you can do, is just run your race and hope everything comes to you right there. I thought maybe he was going to have a little slick hiccup, and now we're seeing Clifton Cockrell really kind of trying to close in on Mike. We could see another battle for a pass coming up in just a minute, Kane. Oh, loose right there for Clifton, and he's okay, but it looked like that back end wanted to step out a little bit. Here they are going into turn one. Mike Budzing trying to get a good fast exit off of turn one, going up the uphill. That's here. This is where it is really fun. We got to be wide open to get a lot of speed up here. And both drivers just, I'm telling you, they're like mirroring one another, Kane. They both are just running the exact same speed, and they have about the same size gap. It's just been all back and forth the whole race.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great battle. It's been the battle of the race for sure.
I mean, like I said, I keep wanting to look away, but I can't, because I'm afraid if I do, I'm going to miss something huge. Checking back, I'm looking at just looking around the track, and checked in on our leader again. Right now, guys, 5 cars are only left on the lead lap, and the next car, the only car left on the lead lap, is Clifton. Clifton Cockrell, and he's the next one. So the leader, when he gets back around to Clifton Cockrell and Mike Budzing, then he's going to end up right there in the 3rd and 4th place area. That's crazy.
Yeah, you don't see that very often where the leader will actually pass nearly the entire field. So congrats to Chad. He is definitely teaching these boys how to run Watkins Glen.
And not only that, Kane, but especially on a track that's 2.45 miles in length. I mean, this isn't a small track. This is a nice size circuit, and that's just incredible. Not only that, this is a really fast circuit.
Yeah, to run Watkins Glen flawless like Chad's been doing, that's saying a lot, because there's just so much potential for a mistake, and as you know, going that fast, any mistake can just be devastating. But Chad's run a flawless race so far.
He surely has. And guys, just for everybody keeping on track, we are currently on lap number 44 of 53. This race is going to get out from under us, and it'll be over before we know it, Kane. It's going to be fun to see if our leader, Chad Chastain, can get past the top 3. That'll be a fun mark to see if he can get past Stuart Dent, Mike Budzing, and Clifton Cockrell. That will be truly a unbelievable task. Michael Johnson, and back there in the 2nd position, drove just a wonderful race as well, as he is only, I say only, but he's only 32 seconds behind, or I'm guessing about 33 seconds is what it should be, behind our leader. So good job by Michael Johnson. Just he's been, dominant as well, and really the top 3 drivers have dominated this race. Stuart Dent had battled a long time with Mike Budzing, and now has literally just broke away from that battle, and he's up battling himself right now and just trying to sail forward and try to get a podium here at Watkins Glen, Kane. And I'd say at this race to get a podium is just a really hard task, and you got to be proud of yourself.
Well, I imagine Stuart has got to be feeling good. 8 laps to go. He's in 3rd place. He's had a great battle with Mike Budzine and Clifton Cockrell earlier in the race, and he came out ahead on that battle. And now he's just sailing along in 3rd place, so he's got to be happy with his performance.
Tell you what, with about 7.5 laps to go here at Watkins Glen, this is the V8 America's Supercars, V8 Supercars America Series. Excuse me, Kane, I was getting ahead of myself. I do want to do a rundown before we get down to the nitty-gritty end here. Our leader is still from the pole, is the number 1 driver of Chad Chastain. And right behind him, about 33 seconds, is the number 2 driver of Michael J. Johnson. In 3rd is Stuart Dent in the number 5 Xbox One Ford Falcon. Mike Budzine still able to hold off Clifton Cockrell back in 5th. Mike is 4th. Scott Baconridge is in the 6th position with 7th place belonging to Jim Davey. Tony Kloosterman back in the 8th position with Don Stevenson in 9th. 10th place belongs to Casey Tucker in the number 8 machine with Timothy Ponzi in 11th. Dan Ball is back in 12th with Paul Slavonic in 13th. Kyle McCormick is in 14th with Corey Richardson in 15th. Mario Gerard in the number 12 is in 16th place with Richard K. Christensen in 17th. 18th is with Mike Manuel, and Jake Hayes is in 19th. Nils Jordan battling in the 20th position with Ronnie Binkley in 21st. 22nd is going to be Brad Patton with Nick Ottinger in the number 3 machine, started on the outside pole back in 23rd. 24th goes to Trevor Hill, and cleaning up, you guys know he was out of the race earlier, is Julian Ignacio Longo.
Right now we do got a battle on the track for 7th place. Tony Kloosterman has caught up to Jim Davies and is right on his bumper, putting the pressure on.
And this is one we're going to watch closely, as Tony Kloosterman and Jim Davey both know how to drive here at the Glen. We saw earlier Tony Kloosterman as the leader. Chad Chastain was making his way around. Tony got loose coming off of turn 8 and was able to save it. And instead of falling back, Tony has made his way forward to Jim Davey in the Vodafone Ford Falcon. This will be fun. And he's closing the gap already there. He did a really good job through turn 1 here as they're going uphill. Tony Kloosterman seems to be getting a little bit of an advantage here, Kane. We could see him try to make a pass on this lap.
Yes, he gets the draft going down this long straight. We'll see him pull up beside Jim Davies and take that inside.
He's got
line
the
going
inside
into the
advantage. He's going to make the pass going into the bus stop, Kane. What a killer move. And then Jim Davey coming back gets into the back of Tony Kloosterman there and is okay. He was going to go around for the pass. Tony went up and Jim Davey got into the back of him. Not enough to hurt anything. Just good racing right there, Kane.
Yeah, great job by those guys keeping it on the track through that ordeal. Now Jim Davies is going to give Tony a little fight. 5 laps to go. Jim Davies gets off the track into the grass.
Jim Davey as he gets off.
That's going to put a gap between Tony and Jim Davies as 5 laps to go. He was probably wanting to keep it close so that he could try to get that pass back going into turn 1, but a little mistake there getting into the kitty litter. That will definitely cost Jim.
Yeah, Jim Davey and the driver of the number 15 Vodafone Ford Falcon falling back to the 8th position. Tony Kloosterman there in the Never Quit race, and Ford moves up to 7th in the number 9 car. And he's going to try to move up to Scott Breckenridge, and he's got a little way to go, but it can be done as we're on lap number 48 of 53. I think he can do it, but we'll have to check back in just a little bit to see how he's going. Tony Kloosterman really seems to be finding his groove. Also, we want to check back with Mike Budzine and Clifton Cockrell. It's still how we left it, Kane. These guys have not budged a bit. Still about a 3 to 4 car length gap in between these two drivers. This is just an unbelievable show by both of these drivers. Very, very. Here you have Mario Gerard exiting the pits. Hopefully he won't get in any traffic. A good job by Clifton to notice Mario coming out of the pits and does a good job.
I don't know if you've seen it, but Mario's car looked pretty bad. It looked pretty worse for wear. He must have got a little got a little loose on the track and ran into the wall or something, because his car looked in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, the Road Shark racing forward looks a little rough there. Oh, I tell you what, going back, Mike Budzine in the carousel right now, trying to get a little bit of extra speed. It looks like Cliff Cockrell had a really good run into the carousel and made up a little time.
Yeah, that's the way this race has been going between these two. It seems like Clifton Cockrell might have just a little bit more speed, but he maybe just don't have the confidence to try to get around Mike, or maybe he just don't have enough extra speed to get around him, and so he's just staying right behind him. And if he does get back a little bit, it don't take him long to catch back up.
I wonder why Scott Breckenridge, who was doing really good, is now going down the pits, Kane. I don't know if it was a fuel issue or what, but that is right. Scott Breckenridge going into the pits. That's going to cost him a lot of time.
He's showing some serious damage to his car. He must have also been in an accident there.
Oh, I just saw the damage. Wow. Yeah, definitely something happened there, because, ooh, that's rough. Well, guys, we're on lap 51 of 53. This is how the top runs. Chad Chastain is your leader. Michael Johnson is in second. Stuart Dent in the number 5. Xbox One Ford Falcon is in third. That's how the podium's trying to run right now. Mike Budzian still able. Oh, we got trouble on the track. Clifton Cockrell hits the wall, goes into the sand. That is bad. The entire right side of the car's got to have killer damage. Big time trouble for Clifton Cockrell in the number 4 Fanatec Ford Falcon.
Let's take a look at the race recall replay and take a look at that little incident with Clifton Cockrell.
Man, Kane, he was right behind Mike, and it looks like he just got loose and it just shot him right over back in, stepped out, and it looks like he just shot right into the wall.
Yeah, the brakes locked up on him, and as that happened, it kind of turned him into the wall, and he got some pretty serious damage there. Tough break for Clifton Cockrell. He was definitely showing Mike a great race.
Well, I have two things to say. I agree 100% that it's tough break. I hate to see it. One, I'm mad because that great battle is over between Clifton Cockrell and Mike Budzine. But a little on the good side, it's good news and a big sigh of relief for the number 9 driver, Tony Klusterman, as that's going to move him up into the top 5.
Yeah, Tony Klusterman, definitely a deserving driver. He's definitely got a lot of skill, and definitely glad to see Tony Klusterman here in the V8 Supercars America Series.
Yeah, I am too. Very glad to see him there. For those that may not know, Tony has an extensive, just an unbelievable real-world resume when it comes to real-world racing, and so it's really cool to see Tony here doing well in the V8 Supercars Americas.
Information: Chad Chastain is now coming up on Mike Budzine to pass the 4th place car.
Oh, this will be fun to watch, Kane. Of course, Mike will probably let him by with ease at this point in the race, but it's still going to be fun to watch, as Mike would love to stay on the lead lap if he could keep some distance in between Chad and himself, especially with this being lap number 52. White flag will be out this time by the start-finish line, buddy.
It will be for Mike, but the white flag is out, I believe, for Chad. Because I'm showing the last lap ticker on the screen. Yeah,
man, that's how fast Chad going.
Slows down to allow Mike to stay on the lead lap there, and crosses the finish line in 1st place. And that is the win for Chad Chastain.
What a great move by Chad Chastain. Pure dominance in the race, and then slows down to allow Mike Budzine, well-deserved, to stay on the lead lap. And congratulations to the Can-Am Motorsports driver of Chad Chastain. That is just purely unbelievable what we just witnessed here at Watkins Glen. Burn it out, buddy. He truly deserves that one. He deserves all eyes on him.
Michael Johnson now crossing the finish line for second place.
Yeah, good job as well by the fast track Ford Falcon driver of Michael Johnson. He's going to go over there and celebrate too. Well-deserved celebration for Michael Johnson. He's going to pull over there and celebrate quietly, but he really deserves to celebrate some as well. Here comes Stuart Dent as he comes up on the final turn here at Watkins Glen. He's going to come in and round out the podium here at Watkins Glen. Truly a wonderful performance for Stuart Dent in the number 5 Xbox One Ford Falcon. He had a great battle with Mike Budzine just a little earlier. And speaking of Mike Budzine, just crossing the finish line for the 4th place finish. The number 14 in the V8 Supercars America's sponsored Ford is Mike Budzine. Killer job. He had a battle with Mr. Cockrell all afternoon, and it paid off in the long run as he was able to come out of here in 4th place. Kane, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm showing that Clifton Cockrell was able to finish in the 5th position.
Yeah, no, I'm showing Tony Klusterman in the 5th position, so let's wait for the ticker to update and see how the results show.
Okay, I think hopefully, because I know I was about to say we saw Clifton get in that accident. So I just have to wait for the ticker to update there. But what a wonder. I mean, just going back to our leader real quick, guys. Unbelievable drive by Chad Chastain tonight. And, you know, a lot of the guys, unfortunately, we're not able to talk to all the drivers like we want to. He'll be busy celebrating in pit lane, but maybe we can get a word with a driver, maybe one driver or two here post-race.
Yeah, I think so. What an exciting race to watch. And Chad Chastain got off to a huge jump just right off the start. A huge jump, and just made that lead grow to such an enormous amount. Fantastic race by Chad Chastain, and Michael J. Johnson had just as good of a race in 2nd place. He pulled away from the rest of the field there with just as big of a gap as what Chad had on him. He had on the rest of the field.
You know, he did, and he actually slowed down the at the rate of which he was falling to Chad. And I believe if Michael could have found that speed a little earlier in the race, it would have actually been a lot closer between him and Chad. But Chad just had too big of a lead. He truly dominated and deserves all the credit in the world. I haven't seen a runaway like that in quite some time. So big congratulations to the number 1 Can-Am Motorsports driver of Chad Chastain. Mike Budzine and Clifton Cockrell should get an award for Battle of the Race, as those two literally battled for at least 3/4 of this race. Before they started battling, we had Mike Budzine and Stuart Dent battling back and forth. So Mike had his hands full all race long and was able to park his car with a 4th place finish, just shy of a podium as it went to Stuart Dent there in the number 5. Great job by Stuart.
Yeah, I agree. Stewart, you know, the last couple races has just run such a good, clean race, and has really shown that he's a very technical driver. And that's what it takes to be up there in the podium positions, is a good, clean, technical drive, and that's what Stuart Dent has showed that he has.
Oh, I mean, I'm telling you what, it really was, you know, a great race all around. You know, it was a different race tonight. You know, with the amount of domination we had from the leader, it wasn't a race where we had 10 different lead changes. It wasn't a race where we had a big, tight front 20 running together. No, but what we did have was some incredible close battles between certain drivers, and literally for 53 laps Mike Budzine had his hands full, and he handled that really well tonight, and it paid off for him as he'll get a nice points boost from a 4th place finish tonight. Well deserved for Mike. I just thought he handled the pressure very well that was put on. Clifton Cockrell put on one heck of a race tonight, and I hated that he got loose there, locked the brakes up, and had that unfortunate accident there that ended up ending that battle. I was sad to see that battle go, Kane, because it was just such a great one. Both of those drivers were literally mimicking one another, as the gap wouldn't even increase or decrease more than a car length for a period of over 20 laps, and that's unreal. That both of those drivers both deserve a pat on the back for really performing tonight. I mean, it was just both drivers put on one heck of a show for us.
Yeah, that's true. It was a great race. You know, the entire field did a really good job tonight. The cars that were down a lap did a good job of getting out of the way for the lead lap cars, and the lead lap cars did a great job with their battles. And Watkins Glen is such a tough track. I've said it probably 45 times tonight that speed just makes this thing so treacherous, and these guys did a great job making it around this fast track without having very much drama. So good job to all the drivers tonight.
That's right. It was just a killer job by everybody tonight. All drivers really deserve a big pat on the back, as this was a very tough, like I said, it had an endurance type feel to it tonight. We knew we were going to have the added pressures of the fuel run, and the added strategy that would have to be added by fuel saving, and praying that you only had to stop once. But it looks like we do have some visitors here with us, and hopefully we can get a word with a couple of them. I notice Mike Budzine, who we talked with before the race, has made a return. Mike, are you here with us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Excellent. Glad to have you in, Mike. I tell you what, you got definitely a lot of camera time tonight, as you literally had your hands full for the, I think, 52 or how about 53 of 53 laps. You had a wonderful battle with. First, you had a battle with Stuart Dent that was unbelievable. Y'all were battling back and forth. And the next thing I know, you had your hands full for the second half of the race with Clifton Cockrell, who is right there about 2 to 3 car lengths behind you. And you guys rode out together for just about the last 20 laps or so, until he had that unfortunate accident there. He got a little loose. But great job all in all tonight, Mike, to walk out of here with 4th place.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. Yeah, the whole race was just wild. I spent probably just as much time looking out the mirror as I did out the windshield. Yeah, like you said, between Stewart and Clifton, yeah, they they kept me honest all night. Yeah, I didn't really see what happened to Clifton. I got kind of the car tonight had a big push on it early on. I did a lot of stuff in the car trying to mess with it. Took the front sway bar down a ways. Made a big air pressure change during the pit stop, just to try and see if I could fix it. Made it a little bit better, but yeah, I was just getting killed going through the carousel, and that's where I think Clifton, that's where I felt like Cliff was making time up on me, and I just got one bad run out of that corner, so I stayed off to the left to try and defend, and I don't know if that just messed up his line going to the next turn and he lost it or what, but yeah, I was kind of bummed to see that because I was really hoping to take that one race all the way to the end.
Well, it was definitely impressive. We really enjoyed watching it tonight. Love the sponsor there on the V8 Supercar tonight as well, buddy. The V8 Supercars America's logo looked fantastic, and I was really proud of you tonight. Great showing. I just couldn't imagine the way you handled all the pressure tonight. You literally raced an entire 53 lap race in a battle, so that was fun to watch.
Yeah, thanks a bunch. I could really go for something to drink right now. Thanks, and thanks again to you guys for putting this on. We really appreciate it.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, this is just the first broadcast of many to come. So me and Kane are extremely happy to be here with you. So thanks for coming and talking with us, Mike. We look forward to seeing you again next week, buddy. And that is Mike Budzine, everybody. Have next with us is our winner of the race, Chad Chastain. Chad, can you hear us?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, we are doing absolutely wonderful. And before we even start this interview, I just want to say congratulations on one of the most dominating performances I have seen in quite some time. You literally jumped out to a phenomenal start, Chad, in the number 1 Can-Am Motorsports machine and just took off and never looked back. You literally almost lapped everybody. And it was just ran away with it. Just a dominating performance. Congratulations, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I've really struggled to get comfortable with the car this week. Yeah, I had good pace last week at Brands Hatch, and this week I've tried 4 or 5 different setups, and everything still just feels kind of dicey, especially going into turn 1. But you know, I really appreciate the kudos. It's just amazing what V8 Supercars is becoming. I think I was there for season 1, and what Mike and Scott and Jim and now you guys, and getting it hooked up with V8's online. It's just amazing. It really is.
Oh, it truly is amazing. We are so proud to be a part of this, and we're so happy to be here with the V8 Supercars America Series. Thanks again, though, Chad, and congratulations on a truly spectacular victory here at Watkins Glen.
I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next week.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, that is the driver of the number 1 Can-Am Motorsports Ford Falcon, Chad Chastain. And also here we have tonight is the driver of the number 9 Never Quit Racing Ford Falcon, Tony Klusterman. And Tony, can you hear us?
How you doing, JD?
Oh, I'm doing just great. And man, I tell you what, Tony, what a fantastic race put on by you, buddy. We had a very scary moment, and we still have Chad here with us, I think, but it had to be scary as can be. You almost lost it coming out of 8th there. Literally saved it from being almost a race-ending crash, and kept it on, and ended up able to hang on and race yourself all the way up to finish in the 6th position. That was quite a comeback there for you, Tony.
I appreciate that, and I owe Chad an apology there. I just lost concentration for a half a second there. I was thinking about where I was going to let him by as opposed to where I was going to try and crash. So anyways, it worked out, and I got to give a shout out to Jim Davey and Don Stevenson. Both those guys raced me very hard and very cleanly, and Jim did everything that he could not to get on my bumper, I think in corner 7. And he actually went off the road a little bit, which cost him a little time. So I apologize, Jim, for that. But I'm very, very pleased with a 6th place finish in this event. So looking forward to next week as well.
Yeah, Tony, definitely. And we're going to be talking with Jim Davey next, but so I'm sure he'll hear everything you're saying right now. But Tony, once again, buddy, that's a great example tonight of showing never give up, and that's the perfect example of never quit racing right there, because that's exactly what you did tonight. You started out, and it didn't seem like things were wanting to go your way at first, but you ended up hanging in there after a near-ending race wreck, saved the machine, get it back going right, and look at yourself leaving with a 6th place finish. That's quite incredible, and proud of you, Tony. Good job.
Thanks a lot, JD.
Yeah, that was a great save, Tony. I should not have seen that much of your right side of your car.
Yeah, I know.
And since we have Chad back for just a second, Chad, when you were coming up on Tony, I meant to ask you this, but I jumped over to Tony real quick. Before we go to Jim Davey, I want to add one more word with Chad Chastain there. What was that like, seeing Tony almost lose it right there in front of you? It had to be about the scariest moment of the race for you.
Yeah, it is, because at that point he's partial spectator to his own demise, and so I just kind of backed out of it a little bit. That is just such a tricky turn. I mean, it really under the best of circumstances with fresh tires, that's a tough turn. And I put it into that barrier more times than I care to think about. So that was a hell of a save.
and that's exactly right. We were talking before the race, and I said a lot of drivers will come in here and tell you turn 1 is the toughest place in this track, but I have to disagree. I think the most difficult place on this track is the exit of turn 8 right there. It's so easy to lose it when you get on the accelerator just a fraction of a hair too early, and that car wants to get loose like that. So great save. Again, Tony, and glad Chad's really glad too.
Yeah, you got that right.
Thanks again, Chad and Tony. Next, we want to welcome Jim Davey, driver of the Vodafone Ford Falcon. Jim put on a fantastic show in the number 15 tonight. I know you probably would have liked to have finished a position or two, in the 7th position tonight. I know you probably would have liked to have finished a little bit higher, but all in all, a great race for you, Jim. You battled hard, had several different battles throughout the night, but ended up doing pretty good there, finishing 7th.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. Anytime I fell back, it was mainly my own doing, just lack of concentration at certain points, and I paid the price for it.
Yeah, it's hard to, let me say this without sounding bad, but it's hard to say, oh man, it's easy to, how can you lose your concentration, blah, blah, blah. But people don't realize, unless they're in a race like this, especially with 53 laps at Watkins, Glen, how much mental focus it really takes to compete in a race like this, especially when you have guys on you like you had tonight. You really had to stay focused a lot, and so even for a split second, if you lose it, things like that can happen. And I thought you did a really good job tonight, and especially I thought it was going to be kind of fun to watch how some of the guys raced tonight with the added pressure and strategy of the fuel mileage in this race, because it was kind of a tricky setup. You have 53 laps, and the fuel window I thought would be about 27 laps max, maybe 28 you could squeeze out. So I don't know what it ended up being. It depended on how you ran it probably, but I don't know what it was for you.
It was, oh my gosh, it was so close. I was chatting with Don through the race, and my first problem was I had a setup I'd helped him make loaded in my car, so it wasn't quite the way I wanted it the whole race. But I was 26 laps for a full tank, so I knew I was going to be a lap short unless Chad came around and lapped me like he ended up doing anyways. So when I came out of the pits after I got back past Scott, I was actually saving fuel for about the next 10 laps or so. And then once I finally got lapped by Chad, I just started pushing hard again. But the car had gone off enough by that point, and I kind of changed my mindset to that fuel saving racing. So it really messed me up a few times, and that's really what caused my larger of the two incidents.
Yeah. Well, I still say fantastic job tonight, Jim. I saw you in the pits there. Had the small little incident there where you overran the pit stall, put it in reverse, got it there, got on out. You came out behind at that point, Jim. Kane, who was Jim battling at that point? Was it
Scott Breckenridge?
That's right. You and Scott Brackenridge were battling, and you had come in the pits right in front of him, and then that small hiccup, he got out in front of you when you left the pits, but you battled hard and got back in front of him. And so that was fun to watch. We did get to see all of that. So good job, Jim. We are proud of you, buddy, and good job on the 7th place finish tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Kane, that's always a pleasure. That's Jim Davey, guys, and driver of the Vodafone Ford Falcon. And good job there by the number 15 of Jim Davey. Thanks for talking with us, Jim.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
And moving along, just any final great big thoughts on today's race, Kane?
It went about like I thought it would. It's just going to be a good race all the way through, and we had several real close battles throughout the entire race to keep us entertained. And for our first broadcast, I don't think I could have picked a better track. Watkins Glen has always been a favorite track of most of the guys that drive the V8 Supercars, so I know that they all had a good time as one of their favorite tracks, and I had a great time broadcasting it. As time goes on, we'll get a little bit better at this, and things will become more familiar, and the broadcast will just continue to get better. But for our first broadcast, I thought it went great. I was really happy with the race, and I felt good about the broadcast, so I'm happy.
Always happy when we get to have V8 Supercars competing in front of us live. I love it. There's nothing better than watching you guys compete week in and week out. And I really, really want to say thank you again to V8's Online for having us on board with them. Also want to thank V8's Online Superstore, Direct Clutch Services, and V8 Supercar Fan Group. And just really want to say, once again, thanks to all the drivers for coming and talking to us post-race. Hopefully, the more and more we do this, the more and more that we'll have some more of the guys that'll learn our where the broadcasters are at, and they can come join us for post-race interviews, Kane. But big thanks to all the drivers that came and talked to us post-race. Really enjoyed talking with you. It's one of my favorite parts of the broadcast, is we get to learn a little bit more about the guys we see race each week. And but that is it. That's Watkins Glen, and that is one of my favorite places of the year. And I'm just still blown away by the performance of Chad Chastain tonight. That really, really was impressive. Like you said earlier in the broadcast, our points leader wasn't here tonight, but I'm sure he'll be on the track tomorrow night, Mr. Marlin, and be exciting to see what he does tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. I wish we were broadcasting tomorrow. We had told everybody we'd be broadcasting Friday on the 3rd, and come to find out we weren't able to broadcast on Friday, so we went ahead and moved it up a day to Thursday. But from here on out, we will be broadcasting, coming to you live in glorious high definition every Friday night at the 9:15 Eastern split.
That's right, and we will be back next week live on Friday night, and can't wait to do so. It's only a week away, but I can't wait for it to get here, Kane, and I just can't wait to see these guys get back out there and compete. The point standings will be fun to look at after this week of racing. Of course, we will have to wait till after tomorrow night's race, but really fun, enjoyed it. And as we get ready to say goodbye and move on to next week, I just want to say thank everybody that has been here and helped us out, and all the guys that have helped us come on board. We really want to thank all of you, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week live.
At Virginia.
Oh boy, Virginia International Raceway will be live directly from Virginia International Raceway, guys, at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So, Kane, is there anything else you want to throw in there this evening before we say goodbye?
No, that's it. I was just going to mention that we'd be at Virginia next week, and we already got that in whenever you start.
So
talking
that
about
sounds
seeing
great.
next week.
Once
so
again,
we're all wrapped up here.
That's it. Once again, want to thank Chad Chastain and congratulate him for such a dominant performance. It was truly fun to watch. And we'll see you guys next week live from Virginia International Raceway.